Hi guys, welcome back to my Steps to Sobriety, my show on YouTube and as a podcast with me, your host, Stefan Neff. Today is another fantastic day for another great interview. I've got Jessica Sikora with me. Jessica has got a passion for mental health in youth and has had her own path and her own beautiful things that she has created that she will share today with us. So I'm dead excited. Jessica, thank you so much for coming on to my show.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
No, pleasure. Jessica, Superbands. Now, that is a name that says a lot. Tell us about Superbands. I jumped straight in because
Yeah, no, I'm
tell us what
excited.
you're doing, and then we can go maybe a little bit back because that was not the way how it all started. So, what is Superbands all about?
Yeah, so Superbands is a nonprofit organization that I founded just a couple of years ago. So in 2014, it was just a kind of spur of the moment type of idea. I never really planned on pursuing an entrepreneurial journey or a nonprofit journey. But the goal and the mission of Superbands is to raise awareness for the youth mental health crisis and doing that through music. So empowering young people who are struggling, young music fans, helping them realize that they're not alone in the journey that they're going through, helping them realize that they're not the only person struggling, not the only person that may have these ups and downs, and just really emphasizing that power of community in music for young people. And as of recently, also expanding that mission into making wishes come true. So there's something so magical about making somebody's, number one wish come true. And for a lot of music fans, especially the younger folks, why don't we give them a music experience of their dreams, get them to the front row, get them to meet their favorite artists and really have that powerful night to remember so that, young people who are struggling with depression or struggling with bullying, and really just going through a hard time can really have these memories to hold on to and help them, stay strong. So our tagline, of course, is to stay strong and to keep rocking on. And that's something that I firmly believe has the power to really change people's lives.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But how did you get onto that journey? I mean, that is a
Yeah.
beautiful, beautiful endeavor. But when you were 12, I can't imagine that you thought, hey, one day, I do super bands. Yeah, sure.
Yeah, it definitely was a very kind of crazy path for me. I never, again, really anticipated being an entrepreneur or being a philanthropist or really doing anything of this sort. When I was around the age of 13, I struggled with a lot of issues fitting in. We had recently moved to a new town. And I was going through puberty, really not the most elegant and not the most graceful teenager or adolescent. And I had a hard time fitting in. It was a very new town. And I think that also, led to a lot of confidence issues. And eventually, a lot of teenagers, especially girls, can be quite mean. So there was bullying. And I really, really struggled. I really had this burden on my shoulders and had a hard time coping with the ways that I was being treated in this new town, in this unfamiliar area. So for me, I did not feel very comfortable disclosing how I felt to my parents. I come from a traditional Asian background where my parents had immigrated to the United States. And I felt, as the oldest child, I should really be setting a good example for my siblings. And because my parents had immigrated here, I felt almost like it was disrespectful for me to say that I was sad. Why? We lived in a nice house, a nice area. They really were working hard for us. So I kept it all to myself. And for me, it was my music that really got me through some of the hardest times of my life. I relied on my favorite songs, my favorite artists, to really get me through. I would lock myself in my room for hours and just listen to music nonstop. My parents definitely, were very kind and they got me a lot of concert tickets. I know those aren't cheap now looking back on it, but I went to concerts and that was my escape. That was my, night where I felt like I fit in somewhere. So, all the problems I had, I escaped from. And, that was my life from, the age of 13 to 17. And it wasn't until I moved back home after college, I had overcome all of the, the struggles of fitting in my hometown. And I moved away to college, did my thing, never really thought much about, that whole journey until I moved back home. So my sister is 10 years younger than me. So when I moved home at 23, my sister was 13, loving music, obsessing over her favorite bands. And I thought to myself, oh my gosh, that was me. That was me, that crazy girl obsessed with the boy bands and obsessed with my music. And I had a moment of panic where I thought to myself, I would really hate if my sister went through what I went through. What if I could be that person to give her and give people of that age a community that I wanted so long ago? What if I could do that for people? I grew up really shy. I was still shy at that time. And, my parents kind of chuckled and thought to themselves, who do you know? How do you think you can do this? We support you, but we don't know how we can really guide you. What are you even doing? But I was like, you know what? I'm going to figure it out. I'm going to give it a try and see where it goes. And, all these years later, slowly but surely trying to continue to grow this really little idea into this powerhouse that I really do believe has the ability to change the world.
Beautiful. Can I ask you about bullying? Can I ask you, because I'm it's strange. I was bullied when I was very, very little. So the first few years at school, I got beaten up. Then thereafter, in Germany, in the schools that I went to, which was sort of middle class kind of thing, there was not really bullying. There was no behavior like that. Yet any youth film or anything you read from the United States, or indeed other parts of the world, the bullying is a huge, huge issue.
Right.
Have you spoken to your parents? Did they experience bullying when they were younger?
When they were younger, they didn't tell me any stories of, not really fitting in when they were younger. I think they both led pretty good childhoods. They grew up in the Philippines where everyone looked like them. Everyone, had the same types of, had the same types of wealth. I think it was all pretty evenly distributed in the areas that they lived in. So they didn't. And, I think even mentioning it now to my parents as an adult and letting them know what I had gone through, it was shocking to them. And they thought, this was just the things that happened in movies, the shows that they would watch. And it was just, it became a little bit more real when they realized, oh, their child went through it. How many other children have gone through this that are keeping it a secret, or who have tried to open up to their parents and maybe got shot down, toughen up, or, everybody goes through it. And really, no, it's sad. It's sad that the numbers are growing, and with social media and having phones around, it's kids can get bullied even at home because of their phones and the social media. So it is this really crazy issue that is very often swept under the rug.
Why? Not why it is swept under the rug. Why is there such a behavior in the first instance? Have you looked into the perpetrators? Have you looked into the bullies themselves? And the question then that flows from there on is, what are the schools doing about analyzing that and trying to help?
Right. I mean, I'm definitely no expert in it. And I think just based on my experience and maybe looking back on things and listening to other people's stories, maybe the people who are bullying are being bullied themselves and want to have that position of power over someone else who's more vulnerable. Like I said, I was very shy, very quiet. I wasn't really going to defend myself. If somebody said anything mean to me, I'd kind of just, take it in and, turn away and pretend that I didn't have anything to say back, even though in my head I had so many things to say. And I think in terms of, what schools are doing, I know obviously there's only I don't want to say that it's a school's fault or anything like that, but there's only so much that they can do in some capacities. I know, unfortunately, when I had first had the idea for Superbands and I wanted to get into schools and, speak about my experience and kind of be uplifting and encouraging, I was shot down many times, including in my own, school district, saying, we don't talk about that here. We don't talk about suicide. That's too sensitive of a topic. We don't talk about bullying. And I think maybe there's this misconception that if we talk about suicide, then, our students are going to have the idea implanted in their head. Or if we talk about bullying, we're going to inspire the students to bully each other. And it really is the opposite. It's kind of normalizing it and saying, if you're going through this, speak up. We do not tolerate this behavior versus, pretending it doesn't exist. Because in reality, no matter how wealthy a school is or how many programs they might put in, it might be just happening behind the scenes, and it's important to make sure that we're okay talking about it.
And it's hard. It's so bloody hard. It hurts so much when people talk behind your back, talk badly about you. And it's just, if you haven't yet developed the self-confidence and the self-love that you do when you grow up after having gone through a lot of shit, then you can deal with that. But even now, I'm 54, and even now, if someone says something negative about me or even to me, or that little bit of a, the kind of eyebrow going up, and that little muscle there, that gives me, oh my God, am I not worthy? Am I not, oh my God, you're right. Who am I to, whatever it is. And it is, the self-doubt is there in all of us. But of course, when you're young, you don't know how to deal with that. And these emotions are brutal and hard. And so are some of so is the bullying, no doubt about that.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. I think even for myself, even at work nowadays, I do also work full-time on top of the nonprofit. So at work full-time, I've had moments where I've had a presentation and maybe something happens, behind the scenes and somebody's laughing with another person. I always worry, oh my gosh, are they laughing at me? Is it something that I said? Did I say something wrong?
Exactly.
And then I'm thinking about it all day. But, and even to the point of, wanting to fit in at work or wanting to fit in, your neighborhood in the town that you recently moved to. You want to fit in, you want to be cool, you want to get along with everybody. But,
Absolutely.
As an adult, you're realizing, you're not everyone's cup of tea, which is fine. But, as a teenager, you just want to fit in. It's like the most important thing on your priority list. You want to be cool. You want to be popular. You want to be liked. And, it's hard, especially when not only are you not being accepted, but you're, being completely pushed away by these mean insults that are completely unnecessary and, completely untrue. It hurts. It's definitely takes a toll on your self-esteem. And I guess to your point earlier that, that self-confidence issue, I still deal with the confidence issues after all these years, and we're still trying to build ourselves back up.
Same here. It is.
Right.
It will never stop. Oh, indeed. That's right. And we need to demystify that, and we need to move away from then beating ourselves up for feeling like that. So not only do you feel bad, you then actually feel bad about feeling bad. And it's just so stop it. And but that you need the mindfulness to actually say, okay, stop. I just step out here out of the situation and actually look what really is going on here. But it's I'm as guilty as charged. There is a teenager in me still, and very strong mouthed.
Yes, I agree.
Oh, please. No, that's good. It's interesting that you say that you had difficulties getting into your own school district and saying these kind of things. And we see that here in New Zealand a lot. We have got one of the highest youth suicide rates in the world.
Wow.
And I looked into that for my book, My Steps to Sobriety, because I wanted to address depression and suicide, etc. And what I did not take into account was the copycat suicides. There was an example of a famous female chef killing herself in the United States, and that was portrayed in the news in quite some details, and it was an unusual way of her taking her life. 2 days later, another celebrity chef took his life in
Oh my
exactly the
gosh.
same way. And there was a lot of soul searching then when it came to how media should portray the issue of suicide. And there was a lot of fear. So there are actually guidelines for journalism, how to deal with the reporting of deaths where people took their own lives.
Right. Yeah.
So, and it's quite interesting. So I talk quite a bit of that in my book, and it is a difficult thing because there is no right answer. I think we need to talk about mental health, and we need to talk about anxiety and depression and all these kind of things, and make it clear that this is normal. This is normal. It's not
Yeah.
abnormal. It is normal for you to feel anxious. It's normal for you to have butterflies, which is sometimes nice. And it's absolutely normal to feel absolute terror, a wave of terror washing over you that you want to lock yourself in a bathroom. That is normal.
Yes.
That
Yeah.
happens to virtually everyone. The difference between anxiety disorder and, let's say, a soldier who is running into an enemy who's shooting at him. No one wants to do that. This guy is terrorized. This guy is, hell, talk bullying. That's metal bullies here. And yet the soldier has learned to compartmentalize, to deal with the terror. He allows himself to feel the terror and the negative, and then pushes it to the side. And these are the kind of things that we need to teach, that we need to show. It's normal to have an anxiety attack. It's normal to feel not good enough. And this feeling is normal. Don't beat yourself up about it. But
Right. Yeah, exactly.
know that this feeling will probably go away. It's a feeling, it's an emotion. It's probably not actually based on anything. It's very unlikely that you are running into machine gun fire. Probably your concern is, oh my God, what will they think about me when I do some public speaking, when I present my report?
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, what's the worst that possibly could happen? If you actually just think about that and start working along the more rational end, is there really, will my life stop? Probably not. So these kind of things. So it's so normal, but the anxiety is there. I mean, you said it yourself in your presentations. It is something. How did you learn to deal with that? How did you actually start working with that?
Yeah, I mean, I think Superbands actually helped a lot. I had to be brave. I had to step out of my comfort zone because, to my parents' point earlier, I didn't know anyone who was going to help me make this a reality except for myself. So I had to be the biggest cheerleader, the biggest advocate for this little idea that I had. So I started reaching out to people. I knew that, they were like, who is this girl that's, in our inbox or giving us phone calls? But yeah, to your point, starting to rationalize things, the worst they could do is tell me no. Who cares? And and if they do, and if they ignore me, then so be it. They weren't meant to be part of the journey. So I've learned a lot through this, passion project of mine, and, just being okay with being uncomfortable. It has obviously taken quite a lot of effort and a lot of time, a lot of trial by fire, I would say, more often than not. And even in my career, I've been around a lot of really, really great, intelligent people. I've watched them present and wanting to almost just mirror them and learn from them, and really, surrounding myself with people who inspire me, who empower me, who can, teach me. And I think it's just about, finding your tribe, the right people. And I think, even now, I'm still trying to figure it out. I, definitely have not figured it all out, and still kind of doing trial by fire, whether it's in my career or with Superbands or even in my personal life. But we live and we learn. And I think that's kind of just what I've been able to take away through this journey. It's okay to be uncomfortable, and you're going to find your tribe. I didn't for a long time. I had a hard time finding that place where I fit in. And, maybe I'm kind of a floater. Maybe that's who I am, where I have different groups for different types of things that I do, or different likes that I have. And that's okay. Just being okay with who you are. I think just being unapologetically yourself.
I still haven't figured out what I want to be when I grow up. So, it will keep going for you. There's no doubt about that.
Yeah.
But to actually go for Superbands, I love that. So how do you go about finding your victims? Because, once you've decided, okay, you are mine, I can see you being on the phone and email and message, etc. How do you go about that? So how do you find a band?
my mom, my dad, and even my husband, they all say to me, like, do you ever sleep? Like, you just, like, your brain, like, doesn't turn off. And it doesn't. I have a hard time staying asleep because, even Superbands, I woke up and for the first idea, first time I ever thought of Superbands, it was like 2:00 in the morning. I woke up and I was like, oh my God, I have this idea. So I was like writing down all these ideas. So that's kind of just how I am. I always just, these little bursts of creativity and these little sparks of ideas, I definitely take advantage of them. But first, I definitely accredit a lot of, these different avenues that I've started to take and continue to take through mentors to advisors, people who I've just connected with, whether it's by chance, whether it's by a mastermind group, whether it's through connections like these. I really have been able to connect with a lot of really great people. And, LinkedIn is a very powerful tool. I would say that, at 28, that's my favorite social media tool. I don't use Instagram or Twitter or Facebook nearly as much as I am on LinkedIn, and just looking at different people who I can connect with, thinking of different companies, whether it's, music organization or a youth organization or entertainment or really anything, finding where are my blind spots and who can help fill those, whether it's on a board of directors or an advisor or just being a mentor to me. Simple pitch, this is who I am and this is what I am interested in. You have a lot of great skills. I'd love to chat. And it's as simple as that. And, I've definitely sent probably over 1,000, 2,000 messages and LinkedIn connections. And I definitely didn't get all of those accepted or answered, but it's fine. You weren't meant to be my connection. It's fine. Maybe later down the line. And I think a lot of the time, people might be a little afraid to reach out to other people, especially when they're higher up in their company or, well known. But honestly, you never know who's willing to give you a chance. And I definitely have, I've learned that honestly, I've been surprised at the kinds of people who have reached out or who have been interested and jumped on a call with me. And especially with even like the pandemic, there are no live events and concerts, but I have this idea for all these VIP things. I think, I capitalized on the pandemic and took advantage of the fact that a lot of executives are home right now. And I'm like, just give me 15 minutes. Give me 30 minutes. Yep. I promise I'll change your mind. And again, I think I've spent more time networking in this pandemic than any other time in my entire life. And that's definitely helped my anxiety because you have to jump on calls with strangers and, they're going to ask you hard questions. And, I hate confrontation. So that makes me very nervous. I always tell my husband, I just want him to sit across from me so he can mouth me the answers. But, I think, it's just human to human connection, and they don't want to scare you. They just want to know the answers. And if you don't have the answers, it's okay.
Very true. Very true. I recently approached some superstars myself, but I'm struggling to get to them because these are superstars and they are basically, they are superstars that ended up in trouble with alcohol. So, of course, my journey gels to a certain degree. But I guess I'm stuck with their managers and I'm running a bit into closed doors here. maybe I'm reaching a bit too high to the stars, but hey, like you
Yeah.
said, if you
Dream
don't try,
big.
well, that's right. If you don't try, you don't find out. But how do you deal with managers?
I've gotten a lot of great advice from people who have worked with artists in the past, whether they were tour managers or they worked for agencies. And they've just given a lot of really awesome advice in the sense that, you have to make it as minimal work for them as possible.
Exactly.
So very little reading for them. Very detailed plan for what you plan on doing.
Yeah.
Make them have very minimal involvement, say that I'm going to do this. Superbands is going to do this, 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 and this, and this is what you get out of it. So it really is just a matter of putting the right words together, I think. And, not everyone's going to gel with that, and that's fine. I've definitely learned sometimes my pitches might be way too long because I want to tell them so much at once. I want them to get excited, but they don't want to read a lot. So I think that's kind of where I've fallen short quite a number of times. But it's hard because you have to, an artist, honestly, is probably more likely, if I were to speak directly with an artist, they'd probably be super excited about it. But the manager's thinking of like the bottom line, the main goal, what can I get out of it? And I think that's been the hardest part for me as well, where I'm kind of still trying to figure it out. And still, even especially with like the pandemic, I think it's very hard for people to visualize the whole like charitable component right now. It's very, that's just not people's top of mind at the moment. So
Absolutely.
gotten a lot of, dead ends or, kind of just, we'll circle back in 2021. And I'm like, I'm ready now.
So true. Inevitably. But I mean, having said that, I mean, if you think how many bands are out there, how many performers are out there, it is the dream of many young men and women to make it big. So who are you interested in? Who would you love to work with?
Well, I dream big, but I will say that, I always follow the lead of our audience. So where are the teenagers that do support us, or teenagers and adolescents that support Superbands? Where do they gravitate towards? Who's on their radar? Who would they love to see? And it's a lot of the bigger name bands, honestly, which makes it harder for me.
So give us some
how
names.
do I get to them?
Come on, name drop.
A lot of people are saying, 5 Seconds of Summer. They want Taylor Swift. They want the Jonas Brothers. Honestly, the Jonas Brothers would probably be that number one for me personally, because the Jonas Brothers was the band, when I was 13 that I was obsessed with.
Oh, brilliant.
And it's kind of just went full circle, right? I think it's a matter of, for me with Superbands, I've hit a lot of dead ends. And as I've gotten older, I've said to myself, I've been working on Superbands for so many years and I feel like I'm getting nowhere. I just want to give up on Superbands. Like everyone will be fine if Superbands just drops off the face of the earth. Honestly, the year that I said I had planned to give up on Superbands at the end of 2018. But the Jonas Brothers announced that they were reuniting. So I took it as a sign from the universe that the universe said, like, okay, Jessica, one more year and see what happens. Yeah. So I told myself, the Jonas Brothers are back. So let me give it all I have for 2019. Let me see what happens. I got married last year. So my wedding gift from so many people was a Jonas Brothers concert. So I went to see them 3 times and it completely, it was more of a gift for Superbands than anything because it sparked the idea for the VIP experiences. And it reminded me of how important music is to people. It reminded me of that feeling that I had when I was 13, where I was surrounded by these strangers and I fit in. Like, this is home for me. I belonged here. Everybody understood how I was feeling. Everybody knew all the lyrics too. I wasn't the weird Jonas girl like I was, and I was a teenager. It was so nostalgic. And it was like, more than anything, it was so empowering because it was the first concert I've been to in years. So I saw the people in the front row and like jumping around. And I was like, what if I could give that to people who are, going through some hard times. What could that really do for them? So then here I am, another year giving it my all. And I think I'm just going to keep going, because every year or every time I feel like giving up, there's always a sign. And I definitely believed in those. There was like a little nudge from the universe saying, not yet, don't give up just yet. There's something out there. So yeah, continuing to give it my all.
I have to laugh because I had given up in my mind to chase the big stars, because I haven't even heard back from any of the bloody agencies. So I actually thought I was all feeling a bit sad about myself. And now listening to you, I actually thought, yeah, okay, add any swear word you want there now. And nah. Let's keep knocking on doors here.
Yeah, because it only takes one yes.
Yeah, indeed.
And it's going to take, a million pitches, a million hours of our time, but it'll be so dang worth it for the yes.
Well, what we want to do is we want to put a smile on someone's face out there. We have a message that we want to share. In your case, it's the bullying, it's the anxiety, it's the mental health problems in young people. And the message is, don't give up, rock on, because there is a life out there, it's waiting out there. Take it now. And
exactly.
So yes, let's bring that message out there. And mine is, the same actually, demystify the mental health, demystify addiction, and actually see it for what it is. It's a chronic disease, just as diabetes and heart disease, etc. No one looks at a diabetic and says, you piece of worthless shit.
Exactly.
That's right. Yet the addict gets that. So for crying out loud. So let's demystify mental health. Let's actually talk about the anxiety, the PTSD, the trauma, the reasons why people drink or why people do stupid things like self-harm or things like that.
Yeah,
I
totally agree.
Absolutely. Bring it out there. And if we can do that with actually having some headliners as coming out and being honest about those things, because guess what? Certainly drugs and alcohol, yes, please.
Exactly.
Because A, of the good sound, but B, of course, because they can speak the whiskey. So it is
exactly.
It is what it is. But let's bring it out there. So cool. So Jonas Brothers.
Don't even get me started.
Why have they not said yes yet? What do we have to do to convince them?
Literally, you tell me, because I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to show them that I'm willing to put in the work. Because that would be completely full circle. But yeah, I mean, I guess there's just so much unknown around it still. Like Superbands is so, even though it feels like I've been working on this for an eternity, Superbands is still so new. It's such a novel concept. And, there are organizations that are making wishes come true. And I want people to see that there's potential behind, to your point, mental health is an illness as well. We need to, we need to also consider that maybe these teenagers want their wishes to come true. What if this wish could really change their life? And I know personally it would have changed mine. And maybe there's just this whole idea of, I'm not sure, like this is just this one girl who's trying to sell us this idea. But I do think, to that point I made earlier, I think it's just going to take one yes. And if one artist can get on board, and whether it's the Jonas Brothers or not, that positive publicity and us showing, Superbands has their stuff together. This Jessica girl really got it figured out. I think that, the rest of the artists will come cascading in, because everybody wants to be part of the magic, in a world like this, to be part of that experience and that magical moment, I think can really draw people in. I know that that's why I would have wanted to, get involved.
And that's so important, isn't it? And
Mhm.
it's a beautiful, beautiful endeavor you're doing there. And it's if I can be of any help there, I bloody well shall. So since I'm now knocking more on doors, maybe we should link here. We should link arms and start working
Yeah,
together.
for
And so
sure.
I've got some ideas. So after this interview, we're gonna start putting a dream list together and actually figure out,
Yeah, for
okay,
sure.
because
Yeah,
ultimately,
let's make dreams come true. It can happen. I think it's like, you know, especially in like this day and age, I think, you know, we both like to that point too, the both of us want to do similar things. You know, I'm not going to say, oh no, I don't want to help you because I want Superbands to change the world, not you. We all want the same thing. We want to impact as many lives as we can because we know what we've gone through and we know what this could do for other people. And if it takes, you know, 100 or 1,000 or multiple thousand more messages, then so be it. But if we
oh,
make
no, no.
yeah, I was saying the same thing. I'm so tired all the time.
But at least it shows that you put your heart into it, and it's the same with me. Why the hell am I
Mhm.
spending my weekend recording interviews with
Yeah,
guests? Because we want to change the world. And is there really something wrong with that? No, no. We are
exactly.
just crazy
Yeah.
enough that we still have hope and that we still actually
Yeah.
want to reach out and want to change the world. Uh,
Yeah, honestly,
no.
it's addiction of its own. Like I literally, any free moment, I'm like, oh, let me see what I
Uh,
can do with Superbands. So
exactly.
yeah.
Oh, wonderful. Hey, look, if guys now listen to us and say, Superbands, we want to know more, where do they go? How do they find you?
Yeah, so you can go on superbands.org and literally all the information's there, including our social media. We'd love a follow. We do post pretty regularly. And yeah, I think I've always been open to hearing people's stories. And you know, every time I felt like giving up, I think of all the messages that I've gotten of people's stories. And I refuse to give up on those people who, you know, have shared their stories. They've said that this could really change their life, or, you know, music has impacted their life. And
Mm.
who am I to say that no, I don't want to help you or I want to turn you away? You know,
Exactly.
I think it's part of that fuel. So feel free to, you know, send in your stories that way as well, because we love to, you know, build up that community of hope. You know, people, you never know who your story could resonate with.
Exactly. Oh, amen to that. It is so important, isn't it?
Mm-hmm.
It's because when you're in mental health problems, when you are depressed, when you're anxious, you can only feel those negative emotions and it feels so alone. And there's this
Mm-hmm.
shame and guilt and it's all in there and it's absolutely impossible that anyone else could feel like you.
Mm-hmm.
Guess what? Guess what? Those big stars that you're looking up to, that you're adoring, whose music you love to hear, they are sitting in the toilet and trying to get themselves psyched up because
Yeah.
they are in the same boat as you. They have gone through dark times.
Mm-hmm.
We all are, and therefore you guys are not alone out there. And that's the key message that I think Jessica and I want to send. You guys are not
Yes, for
alone.
sure.
You don't need to hide. It is
Mm-hmm.
normal the way you're feeling. So let's learn how to deal with it. Let's learn
Mm-hmm.
how to embrace ourselves as who we are, warts and all, depression or low self-esteem or anxiety or whatever it is. It is you. It is you. But it's you up to this moment. Who
Mm-hmm.
says that it needs to continue like that? Who says that you cannot flip the switch right now by actually getting in touch with Superbands? You love music. You're nuts about X, Y, and Z band. Well, look at Superbands. See if they can actually make your dream come true. And
Yeah, for sure.
if you in the process meet a new tribe where other people uh, who are nuts about music and nuts about things
Mm-hmm.
and want to be nerdy out there and want to talk all trivia about a band. Hey, how cool would that be if you actually
Mm-hmm.
find someone who you can relate to and have a really good time with? So Superbands
Exactly.
sounds damn good to me. Oh, well done, you. Jessica, I so hope that your movement will gain traction and will become an unstoppable power where people actually knock on your door, okay? I want to see sort of, Bon Jovi saying, come on, Jessica, come on, please. Take me, please.
That's what I'm hoping for.
Yeah, exactly. John, if you're listening, that's it. And Richie Sambora, you're mine. Okay, we talk. So no, it is what it is. It is. We are all human beings, and let's make this world a better place. One interview after the other, one message after the other. So Jessica, you're gorgeous for what you're trying to do. I'm all for helping you. So if you guys out there have links, so if you know maybe your brother-in-law, sister's cousin is actually playing in a band, come on, you can do it. You can do it. Get in touch with Jessica, okay?
For sure.
That's great. Jessica, it was such an honor to interview you. It was such a beautiful thing. I think you're doing a fantastic job there.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I definitely appreciate it and having the ability to share more about Superbands and the work we're doing.
Excellent. And you guys out there, look after yourself. Make the most out of this day, this minute, this second, because it's your life. Take control and do something to make you feel good. Okay? Look after yourself, guys. Bye.